Thanks for organizing this and inviting everybody, by the way, because I do think it's you know how realtors, for a while there, the phrase that everyone loved was what was it?
The interest rate is something.
Yeah,
Marry the house.
marry the house, date the rate. That was it.
Yeah,
That
something
was
like
it.
that.
And now is the time to break it off with a rate
Mm-hmm.
and marry a better rate.
I agree.
So here's what that looks like. So there's only two reasons. And then within one, there's only two reasons to refinance that I've found. One is to
Mm-hmm.
just simply lower the payment. The other is
Right.
to tap into the equity and pull equity out. So within the second one, there's also two reasons to do that. One is eliminate debt. The other is add assets,
Okay.
right? So
What
here's
are
what,
you, what are you, when you said equity, could you explain what equity is
yeah, it's
so they
the
can understand?
difference between what you owe on the house and what the house is worth.
Okay. And what about asset? I heard you say like,
Yep.
for the other option is like you adding on asset. Would that be like an investment property?
That would most likely be investment property.
Okay.
Some people do it for other assets, but most people are tapping into their equity to have a
Got
down
you.
payment to buy an investment property so there's more cash flow. Because I mean, let's face it, it's hold on, I'm trying to get my mouse to work, but everything costs so much. One income just doesn't make it these days. It just doesn't.
Got you.
And so a lot of people are adding investment properties to that. So here's what it looks like. This is the first option, right? And I want to walk through this just one example, and this is very real. It's not a real person, but it's kind of very close to a real person who just we just helped refinance. And so they bought a home almost 2 years ago, and they got a rate of 6.875%.
Wow.
And right now, they're refinancing. They happen to be refinancing to just under a point less, 5.75, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what they're doing is they're saving $378 per month, and which is awesome. They just have $378 a month of added cash flow, right? Or about what is that, $4,000, $4,200 a year added to the cash flow.
Right.
So they can simply use that to breathe a little bit easier, right? Pay more bills, whatever. Or what they could do, oh, that's interesting. It didn't save down here.
Are you talking about in reference to refinancing?
Yeah, this is to
Okay.
refi and just in this example at least, they're not tapping into equity. All they're doing is rolling closing costs into the new loan and
So you
saving
still have to
three.
pay closing costs when you refinance?
Yeah, that's a great
Okay.
question. So this
Mm-hmm.
and every loan has closing costs. And you've heard the term, hey, you refinance with no closing costs, right?
Uh-huh.
There's always closing costs, just one of two people can pay them. One of three ways you can pay them, I should say.
Okay.
So you can pay them out of pocket and just bring money to closing, which no one wants to do.
Right.
Or you can add it to the balance of the mortgage, which makes it fairly painless and gets you the lowest rate. Or the lender can pay the closing costs. And if the lender pays the closing costs, that's fine, but it's a slightly higher interest rate.
Okay. And why
So
is the highest interest rate? Because it's like they're financing it
yeah,
in the
they're
loan?
yep. Because
Okay.
if we go above par rate, it pays it pays more, and all that goes to pay the commissions. And the
Okay.
commissions, the closing costs rather. You get the overage to pay the closing costs. It's like paying points to buy the rate down, except in reverse.
Why do you think people should refinance?
Oh man, there's again two reasons. One, just simply because rates are lower,
Mm-hmm.
might as well save money. Because here's why. Here's a great example why. Over the next 5 years, this person who refinanced and saved 377 a month, that's actually almost $25,000 in their pocket instead of the bank's pocket over the
Right.
next 5 years. So that's
How do I get on back?
the massive advantage to refinancing and letting that money stay in your pocket instead of go to the bank.
Okay.
So that's it. And welcome everyone who just came in, by the way. Um, so I'm glad you made it and I'm glad you're here. So what we talked about there is reason number one to refinance, because people who bought in the last couple of years got a rate somewhere around 7% normally, right? Maybe
Right,
high sixes, maybe low sevens. If they bought last October, remember that's when rates at 8%. They probably got
right.
7.99%. I know I locked a couple like that.
Do you know how much I could like save them on their mortgages? Say, for example, if someone did close like close to 8%, and now, the interest rates are lower, on average, how much are you seeing like clients are actually saving a mortgage after they refinance?
I'm seeing there's two ways to answer that. That one
Mhm.
is if they're just refinancing to lower their payment, I'm averaging around $300 a month savings.
Okay.
Some are 250, some are 500, but it's around 350 a month,
Mm-hmm.
which is huge. I mean, that's $4,000 a year plus, 4,200 a year.
Okay. And
But
that's just like if you're gonna refinance for a lower mortgage payment. But if they're doing like a cash out, that mean that they're getting the funds back, right?
yeah, that means you get funds back. So that's the other
Okay.
reason to refinance is a cash out. And let's look at that real quick. Here it is. So there's two reasons to do a cash out refinance.
Mm-hmm.
One is to eliminate other debt, right? And this is also a sample, but it's very, very similar to someone that we just helped. Um,
Awesome.
and so this person had a car loan, a couple of credit cards, with some balances or just hanging around. It's hard to get rid of, right?
Right.
And we know that credit cards are charging like 23% interest right
Right.
now, so it's massively
So
uncomfortable.
this client basically used some of this funds to pay down debt, like the credit cards, for example.
Yeah.
Okay.
And look at the power of this. This is
Mm-hmm.
impressive. So here's what they saved, even though in this case they went, I believe this one went up in interest rate slightly because they had a
Mm-hmm.
good interest rate. This is someone who had bought back in 2021 and had a rate of 3.5 or 4% or something like that. But every other rate was high and it was just weighing on them. I mean, you know how it is.
Oh, so you're basically saying, say for example, if any of my clients have a lower interest rate, say a 3.99, and they wanna, cash out and get some funds back, they
Yeah,
can cash out, but the interest rates may go up, but the payments overall are
right. But the,
eliminated, like the credit cards, maybe a car payment. So
yep,
for example, if I got a client of any of my clients are currently paying $450 a month for a car payment, $200 for a
yeah,
credit card. They could potentially pay the debt off. The mortgage payments will go up a little bit a month because the interest rate is changing. If they didn't buy at like a higher interest rate, like 7, 8%,
right.
but it's still it could be a good fit for them because now you don't have all of that debt.
Yeah, and it's
And then
such a
you're saving
relief.
yourself more money monthly.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, this was an extreme case, but this fella
Mm-hmm.
is saving over $3,000 a month in cash flow that he's paying out to someone,
Okay.
and all of a sudden, he doesn't have to pay it out anymore.
Okay.
And so the only objection I ever get to this, because people are like,
Mm-hmm.
man, and some people save $800 a month, which is also huge. Some save $1,200 a month, whatever it
Anything is
is.
better than nothing.
It adds up
Right.
fast. But look at this. The one objection that I get is, well, I don't want to start a 30-year fixed rate over again.
Right.
And so you can
Excuse me.
do with the savings is just pay down the principal and get your home paid off more quickly. Because again, we're assuming that you're paying this money out to credit cards or cars and things like that. And you can afford it all. You make your
Right.
payments, you can afford
Mm-hmm.
it. So therefore, just put the money back toward the mortgage. And look at this. Instead of the existing mortgage where it was just over 26 years on it at 4% interest or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to pay it off in
Right.
7 years.
Right. He's gonna pay
Seven.
off what in 7 years.
If he takes the savings and just starts applying it to the new mortgage, because everything else is
Oh,
paid off,
right. Right.
pays it off in 7 years.
Right.
How'd you like to have a paid off home in 7 years?
Yeah.
That's massive. And it's a total savings of just under $1 million because you
Wow.
don't owe the other interest and you paid off your mortgage and therefore you don't owe the bank anymore
Okay.
after 7 years. So that's a massively powerful way to do a refinance.
Right.
I
And so
mean, it
I
can
have
change a life, really.
And then I have a question like, what would be the steps in reference to starting the process? So should he think about what do you want to do in reference to like just refinancing a home and getting like a lower mortgage, or if they
Mhm.
want to do like a cash out refinance?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. Think about what you want to do,
Okay,
and then I'll present both options
right.
side by side, so
You
you
can
can,
explore the different options.
yeah, so you can kind of weigh it and be like, well, I want to do this or that, right? I want to.
Mm-hmm.
People decide either way, and it's fine, either way. But some people decide, well, I'm only saving 500 a month, but if I lower my payment, I'm saving, if I pay off debt, I might save
Okay,
500 a month. But if I just lower my payment is 250, but I could take that 250 and just pay off the other debt quickly,
right,
and that's fine.
right.
So it's all
Mm-hmm.
strategizing around paying off debt and building wealth.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then what if someone wanted, so do you have anything that's available? Like say, for example, if someone decide that, okay, I want to pull out, equity on my home to buy like an investment property, for example, right?
Mhm.
Is
Yep.
this the same process or as a cash out refinance, or you guys have another program that they can use?
So there's two ways to do that. That's a great
Okay.
question. No one never asked that. That's a perfect question. So we could either do a new first mortgage cash out refinance and use that cash as a down payment on the investment property. Or if someone has a 3.5% rate or a 2.5% rate, let's keep that and
Right.
just add an equity line of credit. And
What
use
is the difference?
it's a second mortgage. So
The
it's a
equity line of credit is a second mortgage?
yeah.
Okay.
And so that what happens is, oh, I'm in the wrong thing. What happens with the second mortgage is they keep their first mortgage at 3% or wherever it
Mhm.
is, and just add a small second. That's the cash out of their equity that they use for the down payment on the investment property.
So whenever they do the equity loan, right?
Hmm.
Um, the interest rate is not gonna be the 3%, it'll be whatever the market interest rate is at the time?
Correct. It's an
Okay.
adjustable rate. The good thing is equity lines are tied to prime,
Mm-hmm.
and prime is tied to the Fed funds rate. So as you heard last month, the Fed cut rates by 0.5 point.
Right?
Everyone's equity line went down by 0.5 point as well.
Okay.
So we're in a downward trend on those. So they're higher than first mortgage rates,
Okay.
but we're in a downward trend. So it's going to keep going down.
So when you say equity line of credit, is this money that you can use over and over, or just like an installment loan where you can get the funds one time?
Yeah, great question. It's like a credit card. You
Okay.
use it. If you pay it off, it's still there, so you can use it again.
How long do the loans stay open? Is it just as
Usually
long as
it's,
you're using it?
yeah, usually it's 15 years and
Okay.
then it locks and then you have to pay it off over the next 15 or 10 sometimes. And then you can open a new one if you want, but usually it's 15
Could you
years.
have more than one equity line?
Back in 2007, yes. Today, not so much.
Okay,
Yeah,
what if you decide to sell the property before you pay off the equity line of credit or the cash out refund?
it's fine. That's just part of what you pay off then.
Okay, so say for example, if someone got $25,000, right?
Yeah,
And then they decide to sell a house,
yep,
whatever the balance is of the equity line of credit, that would have to be paid off too, right? It's not
yep.
like something, okay, cool.
Yeah, it all has to be paid off at
Because
closing.
that's why it has the second lien on the property.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just like the first thing, it has to be paid off.
Do anyone have any questions? You can put it in the chat box also.
All right, I'm going to share my screen again while we're waiting.
Mm-hmm,
Oh, sorry. I have one more person to let in.
mm-hmm.
Didn't
I
see
had a
it.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my question is, when do you think is the best time to refinance your house? Should you do it in a certain amount of years? Like say maybe like I just closed, I've been in my home for a year. Was that enough time to go ahead and refinance my home, or should I wait a couple more years to do it?
My take on that, what's your interest rate currently, if you don't mind me asking?
She has a low interest rate.
A low rate?
Mm-hmm.
So and the simple answer for me is you should refinance anytime it makes sense. And with rates falling right now, it kind of makes sense to refinance. If someone got a rate in the last year and a half of 7.25% to buy a home, right now they can get a rate in the fives, it makes sense. But really, it comes down to what's your goal with refinancing? Is it to pull cash out to buy an investment property or what?
I wanna buy some land.
Land? Okay.
Yes.
So I would say if you have a low rate, like Tonique is saying,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to keep that and just leave it in place and just do a home equity line of credit that you can then pull from and pay cash for the land.
Okay.
Is this something that you're able to do with the USDA loan also?
Refinance, yeah. So
Awesome.
USDA and VA loans are the easiest refinances. You just
Oh,
refinance.
wow.
You don't have to prove your income. You don't have to prove credit scores. All you have to do is prove that you've made your mortgage payment on time for at least
Mm-hmm.
9 months,
Wow.
and you qualify.
And you qualify.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. What about an FHA loan refinance?
FHA has a streamlined, it used to be
Okay.
good, now it's a little bit, FHA without, and by the way, VA and USDA don't need an appraisal either, which is
Oh,
the nice
okay.
thing. But with FHA, they're streamlined, you kind of need an appraisal these days in most cases. So it's
Okay.
not as good, but it's still good.
It's still good.
It's not as easy, I should say that. Okay, so let's talk real quick if you want about, did we answer your question correctly or sufficiently?
Jonisha, did you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Thank you.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so let's talk real quick about, let's say you don't have a bunch of other debt like credit cards and car payments and student loans and all that stuff to pay off, but you just want to increase your cash flow. So you want another asset that's going up in value that you can buy. Why? That's another reason to tap into equity, do a refinance. And so here I've set it up. Let's say you help me out here. A $300,000 home that someone bought as investment property in Charleston County. What would that rent for these days?
Probably about 2,200.
All right,
21.
let's go 2,200 in rent. And if you're going to hold on to this a long time, I always recommend you factor in all the expenses, including vacancy, right?
Okay.
So once a year you have vacancy, you turn the tenants. It takes 2 weeks to get a new tenant in because you have to, repaint and clean the carpets and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you guys, so basically the information that he's giving you right now, say for example, if you have a house and you have a house, you already bought a house, and now you want to refinance to drop your mortgage payment lower. Or if you guys decide that you want to do like a cash out refinance. So a cash out refinance would basically be you're going to take cash out from your equity and you're going to use this money, pay off debt. You want to pay off a car, you want to pay off a student loan, or you want to buy investment properties. So now he is providing us information in reference to, what that process looks like.
So the powerful thing is buying another investment property because look at the numbers here. This is amazing. So what I do when I look at investment property is add taxes, insurance, and I always add maintenance costs, right? So a set aside because when the tenant calls and says, "Hey, my water heater just blew up," guess what? It's not their water heater, it's yours. So you got to set aside something every month for maintaining the property. So I put $125 there. And let's see, the loan, 30-year fixed. Let's say you do good. Investment properties are slightly higher rates. So let's say it is 7.25% right now. Let's just, for argument's sake, here's the thing. On this example, you buy a $300,000 home investment property. You finance it for 30 years at 7.25%. You put 20% down, and the 20% largely came from your equity, right? Your cash flow after all expenses and vacancy and maintenance costs is only $152 a month. So most people look at that and say, well, why would I do that for $152 a month? But that's not all the numbers. This is where it gets really powerful. I mean, like really powerful. So you also have appreciation, right? Because you own the property. Let's say you own it for 10 years and the home goes up at just under 4% a year, which is what it's projected to go up in Charleston County, 3.97% per year. And your tenant is paying down the mortgage for you by $33,000. So you have $152 in cash flow, plus you can raise rents every single year, and you should, right? Because to keep up with inflation, and you have appreciation, the home's going up in value, and you have amortization, your tenant's paying the mortgage down for you. So all in, it looks like this. If you own the property for 10 years, this property that you paid $300,000 for, Your rental income is 334,000. Your appreciation is 142,000. That's gross revenue, appreciation and whatever. That's gross revenue of $476,000. But you have
That's over 30
expenses.
years?
No, that's 10.
Oh.
That's only 10. But you have expenses, right? You have property taxes and insurance and maintenance and
Mhm.
all that, and it costs to sell because in 10 years, in our example, Tonique's going to list your property and sell it for you, and she charges 6% in our example. So your profit is $237,000. So by taking some equity out of your home, buying an investment property and keeping it rented and kept up, maintained, your average return on investment is 17.4% per year, which is awesome. And way better than you can do in the stock market, by the way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And your profit is $237,000. You just made $250,000 by tapping your equity and buying an investment property. So that's the powerful number toward buying investment properties.
And come back home.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty awesome. Like most of my clients actually know that I have other investment properties. So I bought my quadplex. And when I first bought it, they were paying $800 a month from, rent. But of course, we know that that's not market, rent right now. Now rent is like $1,600 a month, and that's more market because the price that I had to pay for the property.
Yeah.
So basically, 10 years from now, that's like $1 million for me.
Yeah.
Almost close to $1 million because I got 4 units.
Exactly. Oh, 4 units like that.
Mhm.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
How'd you find a 4-unit property in town? Everyone wants a 4-unit property.
A quadplex.
What?
A quadplex. 4 townhouses.
Oh, yeah, a quad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You're smart for buying that stuff.
So, and you guys can do the exact same thing.
Yeah, you can do the exact same thing. The numbers are just amazing. But everyone looks at this first number and says, well, that cash flow is not that much. But man, it's powerful when you look at all the numbers because it means you've just gained, roughly $250,000 in
10
profit.
years.
Yeah. It really does change people's net worth and their overall financial trajectory. And if you were to pick up one of these, even every 3 years, right,
Yeah.
and keep each one for 10 years, I mean,
It's
all of a
so
sudden
good.
you're a millionaire before you really know it, and it's pretty easy.
And then for the people that's just coming in, I just wanted to, educate you in reference to what equity is. So could you just touch bases on that again, please?
Yeah, sure. It's the easiest way to do it. I'll just show you this example that I pulled up earlier. So let's say your home right now, this is one example from a semi-real person. It's
Mhm.
similar to a real person. The example is your home is now worth 650,000, but you owe 465,000 on it, right? So the difference between 650 and 465 is almost 200,000, and that's called equity. It's what the home is worth minus what you owe.
So see, you bought a house 2 years ago for $250,000. And now the house is worth $350,000. The $100,000 will be your equity.
That's the equity.
Mm-hmm.
What it's worth minus what you owe.
Correct.
And I'm not a proponent of tapping 100% of equity ever. So I usually say, let's go to 80%. So
Okay.
you still have 20. So if you had to sell for some reason, you
You
got
could.
plenty of equity. You're going to still get a check at closing. You've got everything you need. But let's cap it at 80. And that balances using some of it, but keeping some just in case life changes and you have to sell quickly.
What if someone has a cosigner? Like, say someone bought a house with a cosigner and now they want to pull out a line of credit. Do the cosigner have to sign off on the line of credit also?
They might not have to be a signer on the line of credit itself, but they have to sign that title will be encumbered by a second lien. In other words, there's going to be a second lien.
Okay.
All right, so let me open up. So again, to recap, there's 3 reasons. There's 2 reasons to refinance, and within the second, there's 2 reasons there. So really 3 refinance opportunities. One is just to lower the rate and payment, like this example, where you're lowering the payment by $378 a month, right? The other is to pull equity out of the home. So the first leaves the equity in the home. The second pulls the equity out, and it's either for a debt consolidation So you get rid of all that heavy debt, right? The stuff that
Mhm.
weighs on us that we just can't get rid of, like the credit cards that just never seem to go away. And that gives breathing room to just have cash flow again. The second reason for tapping into equity in a cash out refinance is to increase assets, like buy an
Okay,
investment property and really increase your net worth. Investment property is not a get rich quick scheme,
right.
but it is a get
But
rich
over
slow
time,
scheme.
yes.
Yeah. Scheme
Um,
might be the wrong word, but it's get rich slow
I
and
have a
it
question
works.
for you. Say for example, say for example that, you have someone, have you ever worked with someone that actually have NACA?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so NACA interest rates were kind of higher last year and interest rates are going down.
There.
So if they say they are in NACA, NACA is a conventional loan,
Yeah.
could they refinance with you and still use a conventional loan?
They can. I think my understanding is, remember with NACA, you're kind of tied to NACA for the first 5 years that you own
Okay,
the home. So you can refinance if it makes sense and lower the payment. But I think you still have to fulfill your obligation to NACA for 5 years, like
and if
community
you're going to,
service and stuff like that.
so you can refinance, but you still gotta do
Yes.
okay, okay.
I'm not 100% certain on that, but I think you still have to fulfill your obligation to NACA.
What if they just wanted to pull out like a line of credit?
They could do that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
But NACA would probably have to okay since it's a second lien on the property?
Yeah, so the first lien position holder always has to okay a second home
Okay,
equity line. But if the equity is there, they never say no. I've never
okay,
had someone say no. Never has happened.
okay, awesome. Do you think it's a good time to refinance, or you think that they should give it a couple of months?
I think they should give it a couple of weeks probably, but we could
Okay,
start the process now. So, and
what
I'll
I
show you
mean by
why.
starting the process.
I'll show you why.
Okay, you guys, we're gonna go through numbers. I
Okay,
like this.
anyone who doesn't like nerdy numbers, just plug your ears for a minute because I do, and I'm nerdy. But this is the bond market is what determines rates. Everyone thinks the lenders set their own rates and all this stuff. Not true. We all get our rates from the same place, bond market, which is mortgage-backed securities. It just happens to be the bonds that determine mortgage rates. And these are yields. So as yields were going up here, it means rates are going down. So an upward movement is really good because rates are going down. So we went up from August 30th, pretty much through September 17th, and that was a really good move because rates went down, right? Then we went sideways pretty much for a while, and now yields have fallen, meaning rates have gone up a little bit. But look at this. We're starting to turn that corner, and we're going to see yields start rising again, and that means rates are going down. So what I'm counseling people to do with a refinance now is let's get started. We can get your loan underwritten and approved. We just won't lock the rate until we
That's
see
okay.
this.
So you can start the process now and then you don't have to lock the rate.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I'm doing now.
Let me text you.
Yeah, so any final questions or any comments from you, Tonique, about refinance? It's the right time to refinance. I joke because I've told every home buyer for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, as rates were up. I said, eventually you're going to get a call from me and I'll say, it's Jim and it's time.
Right.
It's time to refinance. And I've been calling the past clients like that right now. And I'll tell everyone on this call, it's time. It's the right time to do it, especially the most powerful thing you can do is eliminate debt or buy an investment property. It's literally a life-changing thing over time. And so it's one of the most powerful things you can do to create wealth.
I just basically wanted to have this Zoom call with the gym because I know a lot of you guys are going to be reaching out because you want information in reference to refinancing. I wanted you guys to understand exactly what it meant if you decide that you wanted to refinance and also explore your different options. So now interest rates are going down. So you guys have, an understanding of what to expect. So you can take this information that Jim provided you guys, and then you can, look over things and see which option is going to be the best for you. Not saying that any of you guys have to refinance, but if you decide to refinance, that's awesome. If you are currently living inside your home and you want to do a line of credit, just keep in mind that a line of credit don't mean that you have to use the money to buy down the debt. Maybe you want to start a business. You want to buy land, you want to buy an investment property. The equity is there and is yours. So you can take advantage of it. I just want to make sure that if you guys do decide that you want to refinance or do a cash out refinance, that you just take in consideration that that is a second payment, right? So you still have to pay your mortgage payment, and then you have to pay towards the loan that you actually got from um the equity line of credit. The equity line of credit is credit, but then it's like using a credit card. You can go
Yeah.
and you can pay it and you can keep on using it over and over. So that's a good option for you guys if you wanted to like upgrade your house, you know, you got repairs that needs to be done, things like that. So yeah, I just wanted you guys to be updated in reference to what's going on in the market right now with real estate.
Tonique, I do have to say,
Mhm.
there's no other realtor that I can think of who cares enough about their past clients to
Oh, my
introduce
clients are my babies.
refinancing. Yeah, your babies.
Yeah, they're my babies.
Well, literally, it shows how much you care. That
Mhm.
because Tonique doesn't make anything from a refinance at all. By
No,
law, we're
I
not allowed
don't,
to
I
pay
don't
it.
get anything
Yeah.
from this. This is just information for you guys to use. I don't profit from this at all.
But that's taking care of your clients way past, the closing on the home initially. And hats off to you because literally 98% of realtors, probably 99, don't do that.
Right,
They don't
appreciate you.
follow up. Yeah.
Did anyone have do you do land loans or do you have someone that you could recommend if my
Yep.
clients are looking to like buy land?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't do land loans directly, but I recommend Rev Credit Union. They're good with
Okay,
those.
awesome.
But I do construction loans. So if someone wants to buy land and build, we have a really good construction to perm loan, which is
And they can
fine.
rent out the house, right? So what if some of my clients have FHA loan?
Yeah.
So you could do another FHA loan with a construction loan?
No, well, you could, yeah, exactly. But the construction loan would be buy the land and start building right away
Right.
and build your dream home on the land.
But I just wanted to make sure, so if you guys are currently with the FHA loan, you can use, there's a possibility of you doing another FHA loan and doing a construction loan. The construction loan would be the financing for the land and the price to build a house would be like in one.
Yeah, that's it.
And then, is there like a minimum of how much they have to pull out if they wanted to do like a line of credit? Like say, for example, if they bought a house last year and they paid 300 and the house, appraised at 360,
Yeah.
are they able to do that be 20%? So that's like $40,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah,
Awesome.
there's no minimum. If you just need a small amount, I would do an equity line of credit in most cases.
Okay.
Small amount meaning less than $50,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just simpler to do. And we have an equity line of credit that we do that literally from application to close is 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a simple
What's like
thing.
the credit requirements?
It's 660 or above, but we do a soft credit pull. We don't even do a hard credit pull for that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
super simple and no appraisal, nothing to it. It's just simple. So if anyone needs an equity line, that's the simplest one ever.
Okay, I appreciate that information. So we're gonna take some last minute, if you guys wanna ask any question, this would be the perfect time to do so. And then also like I'm gonna have have you gotten home insurance? I know some of you guys bought your homes like years ago. I want to make sure that you have enough home insurance coverage on your house also. So I'm gonna be sending out another link for you guys with my guy that do the home insurance. So he could just talk that over with you guys also and give you information if you do need to update your home insurance quote. Because I want to make sure that you guys have enough coverage to cover anything in an event that something do happen. So you guys will get that link also. And I don't think I can scroll down.
No, I can. What do you want to scroll to?
Oh, no. That was it. So how could you just like put your information here in the chat in reference to how they can actually meet you?
Oh,
Reach
yeah, I
out to
can.
you?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Oh, and they're gonna send out a follow-up email for
Yeah, everyone will
anyone.
get that. But
Mhm.
here, let me put it in the chat real quick. But you're right, everyone will get the recording, right? I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is me. And oops, I pushed that too soon. J Duffy at Cova. homeowners.com. And I'll put this as well. CBS. We should put this as well, Christina, when we send it out. All right. So that's every which way to contact me if and I'm happy to help if anyone wants to just take a few minutes and just explore what would it look like to have a debt consolidation refinance or buy an investment property or just simply lower the payment. We can always use these same tools that I used here to explore that with you. And happy to do that. And then if it makes sense, we move forward. If it doesn't, then you know.
Okay, you guys, so I'm gonna let you go. If it's something that you guys want to talk to me about one-on-one, that'll be fine. I'll be back in the office or from, 8 tomorrow to 12, or you guys can shoot me a text message and I'll give you a call. Appreciate you guys for logging on.
Thanks, Tonique. Thanks so much
You're
for
welcome.
organizing
Talk to you
this as
guys
well.
later.